This monster never imagined that what should have been a simple matter of killing someone would end up giving him such a headache today. He tiptoed into the room, only to find to his surprise that someone was hiding behind the door. Impact! At this moment, the man still didn't know that his momentary recklessness would cost him dearly. Soon, his retribution arrived. More little cuties joined the battlefield, launching a brutal massacre. But what you'd never expect is that the reason these monsters attacked humans was actually to protect a pregnant woman named Hannah, who found herself in danger during her first pregnancy. A gang of thugs suddenly burst into the house and without any reason began beating the couple. The husband had a knife pressed against his neck and kept begging them to go easy on him, which almost made the attackers burst out laughing. When the thugs heard the woman was pregnant, their leader didn't stop. Instead, he viciously kicked her in the stomach several times. Amid the chaos, Hannah managed to grab a sharp knife to defend herself, finally forcing the attackers to stop. It wasn't until the sound of police sirens rang out that the thugs swaggered away. Throughout the whole ordeal, her cowardly husband didn't resist at all. This incident left Hannah with deep psychological trauma. 9 months later, the coward excitedly brought her some good news. His 80-year-old aunt had passed away and left them a country house, so they could move there for her to give birth. So the couple immediately packed their bags and left the dangerous apartment. However, what they didn't know was that behind the old house was a mysterious forest, home to an evil creature known as a goblin. On the very first day the woman moved to the countryside, she heard about a strange rule. Every day, they had to place a plate of animal liver on the stone cave in the backyard as an offering to the forest spirits. The wooden door next to it was said to be the only entrance from the village into the forest. In order to inherit the old house, the couple had no choice but to agree to this. But that very day, just as Hannah placed the pig liver down, the tightly shut wooden door suddenly swung open, even though there was no one on the other side. When she closed and latched the door again, she discovered that the plate of pig liver had disappeared. Feeling a bit frightened, Hannah hurried back into the house. The next day, she couldn't help but keep staring at that little door. In the end, her curiosity got the better of her, and she walked into the mysterious forest. Strangely enough, the forest was eerily quiet, and she didn't see a single living creature along the way. Just as she was about to turn back, a faint glimmer of light appeared not far away. Hannah walked over and discovered that it was a small spherical hut made of stacked stones, with many candles arranged inside. Suddenly, a dog poked its head out and looked to her for help. After hesitating for a moment, Hannah rescued the dog. At that moment, all she wanted was to hurry home, still wondering what kind of creature actually lived inside. But on her way back, she ran into a familiar figure. It was the big, silly dog from her neighbor's house. The dog whimpered, as if it had suffered a great grievance. It turned out the silly dog was mentally challenged, and his family often took their anger out on him. Seeing the large bruises on his body, Hannah tried to comfort him, but unexpectedly, this seemed to excite him. Suddenly, he pushed her down and was about to have his way with her. Hannah used the last of her strength to cry out for help. Just then, a mysterious force appeared and dragged the big fool deep into the woods, allowing Hannah to escape from danger. She ran home for her life and told Coward about what had just happened. The two of them went to the scene but found nothing. Hannah thought the big fool must be dead, but Coward believed it was all just her imagination. To prove her suspicions, Hannah wanted to take him to find the mysterious spherical cabin, but unexpectedly, Coward suddenly snapped at her. It turned out he simply didn't have the courage to face the truth. Ever since he was attacked by the thugs, he had become more and more timid and fearful. Not only did he fail to comfort his wife, who had almost been assaulted, but he even blamed her for causing trouble everywhere. After saying this, he walked away without looking back. But to her surprise, just as the heartbroken Hannah returned home, she found an unexpected visitor at her door. The goblin handed the woman a bag, then turned and disappeared outside the door. When the woman opened it and looked inside, she was scared out of her wits. It was full of big fools' heads. Only then did Hannah suddenly realize that the one who had saved her from Big Fool in the woods was that very goblin. Little monster. At this moment, the coward drunk returned. Hannah showed him the head in the bag, and Coward B was so scared he wet himself. He had no choice but to believe his wife's words. Just then, someone knocked on the door. It was Big Fool's family. This family, notorious troublemakers, were going door to door looking for the missing Big Fool. The coward was so frightened he hurriedly locked the door. However, this action made Fool's father more suspicious. Seeing no one opening the door, Fool's father decided to force his way in. Fool's brother started breaking the window. The coward locked the door. Hannah tried to throw the severed head through the back door, but was startled by Fool's sister. The bag in her hand fell. When Fool's sister opened the bag, she was instantly shocked and froze. She reported it to Fool's father, while Hannah ran into the forest. But then, she remembered that her cowardly husband was still waiting to be rescued, so she returned to the original house, hoping to ask the goblin inside for help. As long as he could save her husband, she was willing to agree to any of his demands. Meanwhile, the cowardly husband who was trapped was fighting with the villain. He clearly had the upper hand, but when the knife in his hand stabbed Fool's brother, he was so frightened that he lost his grip. As expected, the cowardly husband was beaten by the whole family. Under Fool Dad's interrogation, he finally told the truth, but no one believed him. They threatened that if he didn't tell the real story, they'd beat him again. Just then, Fool's sister saw a familiar shadow outside. Hannah, who had run away, actually came back, but as soon as she took a couple of steps, her water broke and spilled all over. It looked like her baby was about to be born. The sister wanted to avenge Fool, so she rushed forward and started beating her. But soon, she realized something was wrong. At some point, she had become surrounded by little monsters. The next moment, she was knocked down with a single punch. The goblins forcefully pinned Fool's sister's limbs to the ground, then brought a knife down hard onto her stomach. Just like that, Fool's sister met her end. A goblin jumped onto Fool's brother, stabbing him wildly with a small knife. Seeing this, their father struck the goblin with a club, knocking it onto the bed. Looking at the barely breathing goblin, the father and son stared at each other in disbelief, thinking it was just a monkey in clothes. Soon, more goblins arrived, which allowed Coward to escape with his life. But Fool's father had no intention of stopping. Instead, he pulled out his hunting rifle, ready to keep fighting. But Fool, stabbed several times, couldn't hold on. He crawled into the car, trying to escape, but a goblin hiding inside slit his throat. Seeing Fool had died, his father collapsed, sobbing uncontrollably. Meanwhile, Coward finally decided to redeem himself. He stumbled over to his wife, trying to help her into the house, just as the grief-stricken father turned his sorrow into rage. Then with a shot, he wounded Coward, and his next target was shockingly Hannah's heavily pregnant belly. Just as the foolish father was about to pull the trigger, the dog that Hannah had saved rushed out in time and bit his arm, causing the shotgun to fall to the ground. While the foolish father turned to fight off the dog, Hannah quickly picked up the shotgun and, with a single shot, ended him. And so, this unfortunate couple survived once again, and their daughter was safely born. They thought everything was finally over, until one day, Hannah noticed a flash of light in the house, and then her child disappeared. What was meant to happen eventually did. Back then, in order to save her husband, she had promised the goblin her unborn child. But now, Hannah couldn't bear to be without her. She returned once more to the old house in the forest, followed the stairs down into the cave, and sure enough, this was the goblin's lair. Suddenly, a terrifying old woman appeared ahead, and in the bamboo basket at her feet was Hannah's baby. Hannah tried to get her child back, but at the old woman's command, a swarm of goblins instantly poured into the cave. It turned out that the old woman was their mother. She herself had once been a baby girl, offered to the goblins by her own mother in the same way, and had become their tool for reproduction. And Hannah's child would one day take the old woman's place.